This film has been created by Network Rail to warn teenagers of the dangers of messing around near the tracks. We showed it to these students at a class assembly.
What happens to your body and how much pain you go through. Yes, I don't know, it makes me feel sick. I can't describe it.
I never thought that anything like that could actually happen when you went on the rail. I thought, you know, if you just stepped over it and didn't touch it, then you'd be fine, but I guess not.
It made me realise that anything can happen on the station, and even if it's like a harmless push or a shove, the consequences can be really, just horrible to see.
We've got to be hard-hitting with the amount of games that you've got that kids are playing all the time. It needs to be hard-hitting to get the message home. Don't make any apologies for that, because it has the desired effect.
And we saw it today for the first time in the school. What was the reaction?
Yeah, we actually had one of the teachers that was crying. A lot of the kids were holding their hands over their mouths.
Over the last 5 years, there have been 1,100 trespasses reported on the railways, but the actual figure is expected to be much higher. 254 people have been injured, many of them teenagers, and 142 have died, more than one a fortnight.
The reaction of the students was really positive. They seemed to be actually a little bit shocked by the message, but it was a realistic message that, you know, accidents happen when you're not paying attention.
And it's hoped that this film won't just prove shocking, it'll also prevent injuries and save lives. Ruth Zorko, ITV News.
We're watching the ITV News in London, still to come. Who will have their name in lights? We're in rainy Southend as they take on Stevenage for a place at Wembley. And the frog the size of a 50p piece with the poison to kill 10 people. Before that, though, are you or your kids addicted to technology and can't let go of your smartphone? Well, a recent study found more than 1 in 10 of us have an unhealthy attachment to our gadgets. Well, one young woman from Bracknell is calling for technology-free zones in public places. She's enlisted the help of Fixers, the campaign that gives young people a voice for a bit of peace.
My name is Michelle Gore and I'm 21 years old and I'm from Bracknell. Like most people, I love using technology. Photo sharing, talking to my friends even, but you come to a point where you realise how much is too much. My fix is to get young people to spend less time on technology and more time socialising with each other.
I can literally waste 3 hours just on Pinterest, just pinning pretty pictures of food.
Sometimes I stay up so much that I have 2 hours of sleep. It starts with Netflix, then it's group chats, then it's Twitter.
Me and Vicky text in the same room.
I woke up one morning and I was entangled in different cables. I had my laptop charger around my leg, my headphones around my neck. It was that moment I realised I got a problem.
I think if you're a parent, it can be quite challenging in many ways because one of the tensions here is that it's normal for technology to become very involved in our lives. If technology becomes the most important aspect of your life, that's a really critical factor. Another is if you can't actually withdraw from it. That can be an indication you have an addiction.
When I realised I had a technology addiction problem, I started making small changes like turning up my phone at 8 before I sleep so I can have 1 hour to maybe read. I noticed I had more time to do other activities like painting. It calms me, it's more of a stress reliever, and when I was on technology I was more stressed out. With Fixers, I'm going to do a short film. It will show a world where people only communicate through texting and social media until one person realizes this is wrong and they break away.
The bane of my life is this modern phenomenon of the group chat.
I've dropped into one of my local youth clubs to find out how dependent young people are on technology.
So I have it on my bedside table and it's vibrating all throughout the night, and I think, well, I could just put it on silent, but then I feel as though I'm missing out on a conversation.
Technology, it never sleeps. Why would I want to put something down which holds such productivity for my life?
It's fairly normal for me to actually stay up all night just because I'm on social media and just can't put it down.
I find, especially now with exams, that I'm going on it for more than just my social media. I'm doing mind maps on there, I'm looking up different articles.
I really, really hope my project will get young people to interact more, do things they used to love, because if we continue like this, what stories do we have to tell our grandchildren?
Well, to talk a bit more about it, we've got Liat Hughes-Joshi, the author of How to Unplug Your Child, and tech entrepreneur Phoebe Lebrecht. Thank you both for joining us. There have been many studies done on this. One looked at students in campuses in 10 countries and said that in 4 in 5 students, they had mental and physical distress, panic, problems with isolation when their phone was taken away from them for a day. So this screen dependency is very much a real thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really common. I'm a parenting writer, but gosh, I know loads of adults who have this going on in their lives as well. And we're all jumping as soon as our smartphone beeps on the table in the middle of a meal.
I mean, is it such a problem, though? Is it something we should be worrying about, Phoebe?
I'm not sure that it's something that we need to worry about in that sense. I think that we actually need to embrace this integration of technology into our worlds. There's actually a lot of benefits from having these things on hand. So in terms of learning, access to information, things like that, I don't think it's a thing to worry about too much.
But when you listen to those young people that were there in the youth club, a lot of them are sort of saying, there are days, nights where they just don't sleep because they're constantly wanting to keep up with what other people are probably doing on Snapchat or WhatsApp, for example. Especially at this time of year where it is exam season, there's a real chance that they could get so obsessed with checking their phone that they're too tired to do any work during the day.
I agree with you, and that is a fear, but I don't think that's a problem with the technology or the platforms. I think that's a problem with the culture. I think there needs to be better education, perhaps at school or in home, about how we can integrate these platforms and these devices into our world without becoming dependent or obsessed.
Now, how would you suggest that parents do that in that case with their young people?
Yeah, well, one thing I suggest is to have family screen time rules. They're going to vary a little bit depending on how old your children are. But, for example, no screens at the dinner table so that you can have a decent old-fashioned chat.
Yes,
without interruptions. No gadget use after a particular time of night so that children aren't going to have their sleep disturbed too much. There's also studies that show that glare from screens can cause problems getting to sleep and staying asleep. So they're two things. Certainly when people come around to visit the house, like the grandparents, no screens then too. And the other thing I really love the idea of is a digital detox. You might do it once a week on a Sunday afternoon. You might do it for a week on holiday.
So it just means that you just have some time away from it, but time with it is how you started your business, because you were quite into social media and stuff in your mid-20s. And
I was fascinated.
So were you spending loads of time on it?
Yes and no. I mean, again, it's healthy to have a balance, but I was just fascinated with the opportunities that it provides in terms of citizen journalism, finding out things in real time from real people, the opportunity to speak directly with brands, to understand who your customers are from a brand perspective and engage with them directly. Social media, for me, opened huge doors.
Absolutely, and you've made a business out of knowing your social media stuff. Well, both Phoebe and Liat, thank you so much for joining us. Or to find out more about Michelle's No Tech project and ITV Fixers, visit fixers.org.uk. Next tonight, I think we can all agree it was a disappointment to wake up to the cold and rain this morning in the capital. But over in Southend, they're hoping the bad weather will be a good omen. They're battling Stevenage over at Roots Hall tonight for a place in the League Two playoff final at Wembley. Our sports reporter Will Mott is there. Will, a different type of tourist in town there.